A pest control worker has been jailed after allegedly snatching $7,400 worth of a villager's jewelry during a visit to her home. The Village of Piedmont woman went to the Marion County Sheriff's Office at Mulberry Grove in the Villages earlier this month after she discovered that valuable jewelry was missing from her home. The jewelry included a pendant necklace with a gold chain and diamonds worth $4,000, a wedding ring with a 1 1/4 carat diamond with yellow diamonds around the band worth $3,000, and a gold cross and necklace with emeralds worth $400. She said that the pest control worker from Superior Pest Control had recently visited her home, according to the arrest report. An investigation led to Superior Pest Control employee 26-year-old Speed Quantez, Speed, who in the hell would name their child Speed, of Ocala, who had pawned an unusual amount of jewelry over the past few months. The jewelry included several women's wedding rings, a man's high school ring from 1951, a woman's college ring from 1953, and several chains. A pawn shop employee was suspicious, but Cortez explained his grandparents were recently deceased and he obtained a large inheritance. The village's wedding ring was traced to the pawn shop. He had pawned it for $650. Cortez was arrested Thursday on charges of grand theft, fraud, and providing false information to a pawnbroker. He was booked at the Marion County Jail on $12,000 bond. I hope that these items that they discovered at this pawn shop somehow, some way, and returned to them. And I hope that somehow, some way, this pawn shop was cited with something, and I don't know the law about all that. Because if she was suspicious, how come she didn't immediately call the local police department to come in and question him right away, instead of saying, oh, okay, oh, your grandmother died, oh, okay, because he had been doing this for a while. This wasn't just the first time in there. So I think there should be some more investigations going on here. Let's see what's going on in my neighborhood. I think I've explained to you before, Hillsboro is actually two different sections. Let me describe it this way. Guys, Hillsboro. In the middle of Hillsboro is Evans Prairie Country Club Golf Course. A villager has been arrested after alleged attack on her husband over his... I'm sorry, this is funny. I laugh at this stuff. People, they get so old, so bored, I don't know. They argue over the stupidest stuff. Stupid. A villager has been arrested after alleged attacks on her husband over his stupid questions. I'm glad that Sue's not violent, because I probably ask 1,000 stupid questions every day. Dennis Hendricks, 73, was arrested at her home in the New Haven Villas in the Village of Hillsboro on a charge of domestic battery at about 1:30 p.m. Thursday by Sumter County Sheriff's deputies. An investigation was triggered when he visited his doctor's office and disclosed some recent incidents of domestic violence in his home, according to the arrest report. An employee at the physician's office contacted law enforcement. A deputy private interviewed the husband on the porch, and he said Hendricks struck him several times in the past during arguments, but insisted that it was his fault and she did nothing wrong. The most recent time was Wednesday morning when she struck him in the chest during an argument. Hendricks was questioned in the living room, and she admitted striking her husband on multiple occasions during arguments because he irritates and annoys her. She said he asked stupid questions repeatedly. She was arrested on a charge of battery and booked at the Sumter County Detention Center, and she was initially held without bond. Like, I ask questions all the time because people ask me. I think it's probably a dumb question. People say, how much is a light bill? Sue, how much is a light bill every month, roughly? I don't know. They say, how much is your bond payment there on your house? Sue, I don't know. Oh my Lord. Lighten up, people. If you remember last Friday, there was a girl, woman, adult child living with her mother, and she had run her car into somebody's yard, broke their light pole down, did some damage to the landscaping, backed out of the yard, bumper came off her car, she left the bumper in that person's driveway, I guess. She took off, went down Hillsborough Trail, and went down to Morse Boulevard and Hillsborough, and then run into something down there, a brick wall, a guard shack, I don't know. And she was arrested, and she was arrested before. She was on some kind of drugs because she got confused with the red button to open up the gate. Don't know how that happens, or what's confusing about the red button. I don't know. But here she is again, 1 week later, same person, different hairdo. A villager's 50-year-old daughter is back behind bars following an arrest earlier this month after leaving the scene of a crash. That's the one I reported last week. Pamela Diane Pest, 50, who lives with her mother at 1221 Allaire Loop in the village of Fernandina, was booked Thursday at the Sumter County Detention Center on a probation violation. She was being held without bond. The Missouri native spent 3 days in jail after crashing a Buick October 20th in the front yard of a neighbor's home, leaving the vehicle's front bumper in the lawn. She fled the scene and was arrested on Hillsborough Trail after a second crash. She was transported to the UF Health Leesburg Hospital and later arrested by the Florida Highway Patrol. Her most recent arrest is considered a violation probation. So she's back behind bars for violating her probation agreements, I guess. Villagers on historic side upset about Sumter allowing more apartments in their backyard. Yeah, more apartments. That's all they build around the villages nowadays, it seems like. All around the villages. I could take my car and literally spend all day and show you all these new apartments and things being built on the outer edges of the villages. Everybody's trying to cash in, and because there's so many things open to the public here, which virtually everything's open to the public, and they don't want to pay the amenity fees. They don't want to pay what it takes to keep this place neat and clean and the entertainment and all that kind of stuff. So they buy places around the outer edges of the villages, get in their car and drive in. And then many of them sneak in a golf cart. We were over at Sunny Pints, which is down close to Wildwood, but on the other side of Brownwood. And while we're sitting there having lunch and drinking a beer or two, I saw golf carts. There's a I'll call it a trailer park. I don't know what else to call it. Kind of catty corner across the street. And I saw two gentlemen in a golf cart come out of there. They drive down the grassy area along Highway 44, which is a 4-lane highway. And the speed limit there, I think, is like 45 miles an hour, 40, somewhere in that area. And we watched them shoot across a 4-lane highway and over to the grassy area on the other side of the highway. Quick service restaurant planned to open on Warm Springs. That's down by the Finney area. A quick service restaurant is planned on Warm Springs Avenue across from the village of Finney. The restaurant would be part of a development to include retail and office space on 3.15 acres at the northeast intersection of County Road 513 at Warm Springs Avenue. Raviel Cafe passes inspections at Magnolia Plaza in the Villages. They had put in the ductwork and things like that. Everything is okay in stages, and the ductwork, and I think they, I don't know, probably put in some drywall. And anyway, it was inspected and it was passed. So Raviel Cafe is on its way to be opening in the Magnolia Plaza down there in the village of Finney. Here's another one. A Snowbird attempted to use her underwire bra to try to escape from jail after her arrest on a drunk driving charge. Susan Mae Shepard, 59, who is staying at 2274 Queen Palm Place in the village of Buttonwood, was driving a red Lincoln SUV when she was involved in an accident at about 7 p.m. Saturday at Walgreens on County Road 466 across from Southern Trace Plaza plaza in the Villages, it appeared that Shepard, a native of Keene, New Hampshire, who was driving on a Massachusetts license, had been drinking. She initially agreed to participate in field sobriety exercises, but refused to continue once she had trouble performing the exercises. Her breath sample measured .000 blood alcohol content. She consented to a urine sample. She was transported to the Sumter County Detention Center, where she was booked on a charge of driving under the influence. Shepard was placed in a holding cell, but a jailer discovered that she had removed the metal wiring from her bra and used it to make numerous scrape marks on the glass on the bottom of the holding cell door. She attempted to crawl out of the small opening in the holding cell door, feet first. She had to be told to pull her legs back into the cell. In addition to the DUI charge, she is facing a felony charge of attempted escape and a misdemeanor charge of criminal mischief with damage to property. She was released after posting an $11,500 bond. I don't make this stuff up. Does this guy's picture look familiar? I've reported on him at least 2, maybe 3 times. He gets arrested all the time. He's a mommy's boy, down here living with mommy, and she supports all of his bad habits by letting him do that. The son of a couple in the Villages has been arrested on a drunk driving charge as he was heading from home from a Tinder date. Somebody in the comments tell me, what's a Tinder date? T-I-N-D-E-R. Alexander Bartell, 32, who lives with his parents at 3031 Hicks Place in the Village of Finney, was at the wheel of a black 2014 Dodge Ram pickup at 2:35 a.m. Sunday on US 301 at Oxford when a 911 caller reported his erratic driving behavior, according to an arrest report from the Sumter County Sheriff's Office. A deputy initiated a traffic stop and found that the Utica, New York native was thick-tongued and his movements were very slow and lethargic. Bartell said he was returning from Ocala, where he had been on a date set up through the popular dating application and was headed home. The report said he had consumed 2 Mike's Hard lemonade drinks. Oh, so a Tinder date, would that be the app, a dating app, Tinder, I'm guessing? I don't know. He indicated that he has a prescription for Adderall, Ativan, and medical marijuana, alcohol containers, a vape pen, 2 syringes, and a glass bottle labeled testosterone Cystanin 250 milligrams were found in the pickup truck. He struggled through field sobriety exercises and provided breath samples that measured .028 and .029 blood alcohol content. He also provided a urine sample. He was arrested on a charge of driving under the influence. That could be prescription drugs, marijuana. Under the influence does not necessarily mean alcohol. Earlier this year, Bartell had been placed on probation for 3 years after pleading no contest to charges of grand theft and burglary in Sumter County Court. Bartell was arrested April 17th at his parents' home in connection with the alleged burglary of a storage unit. While he was free on bond in that case, Bartell was arrested after defying an injunction for protection against domestic violence. Anyway, there you go. Another problem child. Thanks, Mom and Dad. A suspected prowler carrying a flashlight was apprehended in the Villages. Ryan Lee Clerk, 40, who lives at 710 Tarson Boulevard on the historic side of the Villages, probably the Silver Springs area. That place is really starting to turn into a decrepit area with all kinds of people that I don't even know how they got in there. I really don't, but they're there. I don't know what the district rules are there. He was wearing a hoodie that was covering his head when he was spotted at about 2:30 a.m. Saturday near the intersection of Cortez Avenue and Agua Avenue in the village of El Cortez. According to an arrest report from the Lake Lake Police Department, he had been walking up and down driveways and looking into vehicles. When officers approached Leclerc, he was instantly confrontational and uncooperative, the report said. He refused to provide his name and address. He tensed up when officers attempted to handcuff him. They took him to the ground, and in so doing, discovered a flashlight in his pocket. The Vermont native was arrested on a charge of battery. He was booked at Lake County Jail on a $500 bond. This guy could be a renter, because it says he just lives at 710 Tarson Boulevard. Grandpa could have died and left him the house. I don't know. But that whole area up there, I think, is because it's cheaper. And I'm not putting that down. I'm just saying because it's cheaper, it's allowing some of these people in, and they're nothing but trouble. Nothing but trouble. Once again, did you expect this kind of thing in a retirement community? Retired Sumter County Sheriff's deputy dies from complications from COVID-19. Sorry to hear. You know I'm a big police supporter and fire. I wear the hats. And I hate to hear stuff like this. I'm sorry. Sorry to the family. A frustrated Lady Lake commissioner dramatically held up his hands, joined at the wrist, in casting his vote on a sensitive matter involving the villages. Commissioner James Ritz, who has a Save Spanish Springs decal on the rear window of his SUV, was in the majority Monday night when he voted to allow the villages to rescind a 33-year-old agreement with the town of Lady Lake. Well, you guys just lost it. Spanish Springs is going to take a major turnaround now, and to my mind, not good for a retirement community. My hands are tied, Rich said as he held up his hands up high for the audience to see in the commission chambers of Lady Lake Hall. Dramatic. It was the first reading of the ordinance. The second and final reading is scheduled for November 15. Only Commissioner Paul Hannon voted against the measure. The longtime resident of the historic site of the villages remains openly suspicious of the motives behind this move. In the debate over the topic, Mayor Ruth Coussard reminded fellow commissioners and audience members, this is not about apartments. You don't think? We will see, as they say. The mayor has been heavy-handed with the gavel, ready to shut down any mention of apartments during discussion on the village's desire to rescind the development of regional impact agreement that dates back to the days the village's founder Harold Swart. However, it is without question that the village's desire to convert commercial space to apartments at Spanish Springs Town Square is driving the move to rescind the agreement. The commission voted 3-2 earlier this year in opposition to apartments at the square, prompting a lawsuit from the villages. Let me just say, money talks, bullshit walks.
Bingo!
Whooping cranes population bouncing back after near extinction. And they are. I'm seeing, the few years that I've been here full time, I'm seeing more and more of it, seems like every year. I've never seen a young, so I don't think they nest here. They could, I just haven't seen it. The sandhill cranes, every year we see the babies with the parents all the time. It's a sight to see, and I love that. The whooping cranes, I've never really seen any young walking around with them, but it does seem like I'm seeing more and more adults in this area every year. So thumbs up to whoever's protecting them, whoever's watching after them. Thumbs up to all that. Oh, here's our favorite villager in the news again. Ed McGinty has tweeted that he knows he's a wanted man for violating terms of release on bond in a stalking case. The Village of Hadley resident, known for his outspoken opposition to former President Trump, remained free on Tuesday after announcing on his Twitter feed Monday night that he is aware that his bond has been revoked. The judge late today revoked his bail. I have no idea why, except my accuser lied again. Well, that has to be proven. That's just your opinion. Not sure. I will be in jail maybe till end of November, he tweeted. The motion was filed late last week in Sumter County Court seeking the revocation of McGinty's bond following his most recent arrest. He parked his golf cart like 2 parking spaces away. He was supposed to stay 100 feet away from her at all times. He knew that her golf cart was there. He's following her around again, harassing her. He parked 2 spaces away away. It says here, about 20 feet separated the two golf carts, violating the court order preventing McGinty from coming within 100 feet of the woman's vehicle at any time. McGinty admitted he knew the golf cart belonged to the woman who has the restraining order against him. He was arrested for violating a court order and booked to the Sumter County Detention Center at 1:16 p.m. He was released at 12:49 a.m. Wednesday after posting a $1,000 bond. A man who lied to law enforcement about his identity was arrested in late night hours at Lake Sumter Landing. The Sumter County Sheriff's Department deputy was patrolling the town square area at about 2:30 a.m. Saturday when the deputy spotted a man who attempted to hide in the bushes near the dock area. According to an arrest report, the deputy asked the man, later identified as 37-year-old Matthew Bradley Palacio, to stop, but he kept walking away from the deputy. Palacio was also asked why he was at the square in which all of the businesses were closed. He said he needed to get fresh air due to recent family issues. The Toledo, Ohio native provided a false birth date and claimed he was from North Carolina. He also provided a false Social Security number. A rapid ID scanner was used on his fingerprints and it revealed he was wanted on a warrant. He was taken into custody and charged on fraud and booked at Sumter County Detention Center. He was held without bond due to the outstanding warrant. A 25-year-old Brazilian living in the Villages was arrested at Chili's restaurant. I'm not even going to try to pronounce this name. I'll try to put it on the video. Who lists a local address at 611 Juanita Court in the village of Della Vista, was driving a black 2013 Chrysler at about 10:30 p.m. Friday on US 27 and 441 at Avienda Central when he was pulled over in the parking lot of Chili's, according to the arrest report of Lady Lake Police Department. Diaz, who spoke little English, indicated he did not have a driver's license. He handed the police officer an unknown type of Brazilian ID. The report said the officer noticed the faint aroma of marijuana, which was heavily masked by cologne. A small bag found in the vehicle contained 3.8 grams of marijuana and a grinder. He was arrested on charges of driving without a license, possession of marijuana, and possession of drug paraphernalia. He was ticketed on a charge of no proof of insurance. He was booked at Lake County Jail and released after posting a $1,500 bond. Good luck on getting that back to court. A Village of Pinellas man was arrested on a drunk driving charge after nearly causing an accident on U.S. Highway 441 in Summerfield. Patrick Joseph Jacque, 30, who lives at 1835 Yearly Way, was driving a blue 2008 Chrysler two-door at about 2:30 a.m. Sunday when he attempted to change lanes and cut off a pickup truck. The driver of the pickup had to apply his brakes to avoid a collision. During the traffic stop, a deputy suspected Jacque had been drinking due to his bloodshot eyes and slurred speech, the arrest report said. Jacque was asked if he had been drinking, and he said he had a few. He struggled through field sobriety exercises and refused to provide breath sample. A criminal history check revealed that he had been convicted of drunk driving in 2014 in Maine. In addition, Jacque was placed into a pretrial intervention program in 2018 after he was caught with cocaine in a school district. In Lady Lake in 2016, a woman was taken by ambulance to Leesburg Regional Medical Hospital after her vehicle was struck at Brownwood by a Hyundai Elantra driven by Jacque. After Sunday's arrest, Jacque was taken into custody and booked at Marion County Jail on a $2,000 bond. That should have been a $20,000 bond. He's had several chances. A villager has been arrested on a warrant charging him with reckless driving with alcohol. Ronald Joseph Zarley, 69, who lives at 1017 Boone Court on the historic side of the Villages, was arrested on the Sumter County warrant at 10:10 a.m. Tuesday by Sumter County Sheriff's deputies. He was booked at Sumter County Detention Center and released after posting a $500 bond. Residents are cheering the renovations of the Silver Lake Executive Golf Course. A ribbon-cutting ceremony was held Thursday morning to celebrate the reopening of the original golf course in the Villages. The first golfers were scheduled to tee off at 1 p.m. The renovation of the golf course located on the historic side of the Villages include new greens, tees, fairways, and regrassing of the course. The course had been closed since April 1 for the renovation work. The $329,234 renovation of the golf course was funded through the Amenity Authority Committee. In other words, our amenity fees paid for that, as it should. A 72-year-old villager has been arrested after allegedly stalking a woman he called a gold digger. Robert Cornelius Farrell, who lives in the Greenbrier Villas in the village of Briar Meadows, was arrested Wednesday on a warrant charging him with stalking. The woman, who is the apparent object of Farrell's unreturned affections, provided Marion County Sheriff's deputies with multiple emails, handwritten notes, and accounts of Farrell stalking her in Florida's friendliest hometown. Farrell repeatedly showed up at a swimming pool where the woman was, even though he had been warned repeatedly by deputies to stay away from her. He was also spotted driving his golf cart by her home. Farrell admitted he was driving his golf cart when he saw the woman walking on September 30th and flashed the peace sign at her, according to the arrest report. He repeatedly sent the woman email, including one earlier this month in which he begged for the woman for another chance. In August, he sent the woman an email referring to her sexual tendencies and called her a gold digger. In another email, he accused her of chasing after his money. Farrell was taken into custody and booked at Marion County Jail, where he was initially held without bond. You guys just never learn, do you? Good Lord. Ladies, when you see this guy's picture, be warned. Here is a letter to the editor. To the editor, Spanish Springs Town Square was created as an attraction to bring thousands of new residents to the Villages, created by both Harold Schwartz and Gary Morse. It was designed by the same company who designed Disney World. We moved to the Villages in 2009 and were very happy with all the amenities that were offered throughout the community for all residents to enjoy. After Gary Morse passed on, the younger Morse took over and running and removing many of the attractions which had made the Villages. The population continued to grow beyond anyone's and our expectations. We were told, as most purchased, they would never build south of 466A, and a few years later, never south of State Road 44. How many years have you been here? They've been saying that ever since Spanish Springs, before Lake Sumter, before Brownwood. This is the build out. That was always the big joke. Do you watch my videos? I've talked about this before. We lost Katie Bell's, the church on the square, the Santiago restaurant, and more. They closed the original two-story Katie Bell's to add more store rentals on first floor, which did not materialize to their liking. Then closed the renovated Katie Bell's on the second floor. Now, after losing income, they want to build apartments in Spanish Springs. Today, people are wondering why the Rialto Theater in Spanish Springs is still closed, making more and more village residents unhappy and uncertain of the future of Spanish Springs. Their building south of State Road 44 has not given the new residents a town square, stores, recreation centers, restaurants to use, and forced them to drive north of the facilities, which they overcrowd these places, which was built for those living there. And that was sent in by George Olson, Village of Pine Hills. This guy's picture look familiar? You know, some of these people here, men, women both, it's a constant problem. They're in trouble all the time. They never learn. And this is what happens to a lot of the so-called adult children moved here with their mom and dad. And here lately, I haven't reported too many of them. I don't want to be accused of saying that I'm discriminating just for them. I'm not. There's been a lot of reports. I just haven't put them on my news for a while. I'm going to start doing it again. But this guy here, this is 1 week's worth of news that I'm doing. There's 7 of them on here, and I'm on day like 3 or 4, and here this guy is again. A villager who had been drinking at the Finney Grill. I don't know why, because he lives up at the historical area. Not that he doesn't have a right. He has every right to go down to the Finney Grill. And may I say, all of you that's watching this, even if you're not a village resident, I implore all of you, get in your car and go to all of these restaurants that's inside the villages. Go to all of our country clubs. They're all open to the public. Go into the restaurants and have yourself a bite to eat eat and get a feel of what it is in there before you buy a home here. Go down to the Finney Bar and Grill down there at Finney. It's open to the public. There's parking down there. Go down there in your car, take your kid, all your grandkids, and go in there and have yourself a bite to eat. Go down to Edna's on the Prairie. Edna's on the Green. Open to the public. Take your chairs with you, walk over there, sit down in the grass, get a beer, get a Coke, get a sandwich, whatever you want, and enjoy the music. It's all open to the public. It's not open just to villagers. A lot of them think so, but it's not. And I'm just letting you know, so if you want to go down there and enjoy yourself, have at it. A villager had been drinking at the Finney Bar and Grill, has been charged in an accident in which his girlfriend was thrown from the golf cart. Ronald Joseph Zarley, 69, who lives at 1017 Boone Court on the historic side of the Villages, was arrested Tuesday on a Sumter County warrant charging him with reckless driving with alcohol. The warrant was issued after his girlfriend was airlifted October 17 to Ocala Regional Medical Center. It's the only trauma unit we have in this whole area. I think we're going to get one eventually, but as of right now, we have no trauma center inside the Villages. The warrant was issued after his girlfriend was airlifted to Ocala Regional Rec Center. I got all that, didn't I? He was driving at Finney Way and Penny Lane near the Blue Heron Recreation Center in the village of Finney. She had suffered a head injury.